Hello, hi everybody. Welcome back to another exciting head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. I got a couple of things that I want to talk about today, and also I got a couple of stories that I wanted to get out to you guys. One of them, which I've already talked about in one of my previous videos, so I'm gonna leave that part out. But there's a couple of things that I want to get into dealing with the government and artifacts that have been found but kept secret, from the world because of its strangeness. One of them, which is the, I mean, if any of you ever heard about it, is these elongated skulls that seem to be found all over the world, including in our in the pyramids of Egypt. There was actually a skull that that guy Giorgio A. Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens. He actually got a chance to view one that was on loan from a museum that I guess he was an artist, like a art collector. Yeah, he got a chance to view it, and he said it was on loan to him and a colleague of his. I actually took a picture of it so you can see what I'm talking about, and it's the real deal. So let me see here. All right, here we go. This is the elongated skull that I was speaking of, and as you can see, it this is definitely the real deal. Now, a lot of people have said that they try to debunk the whole elongated skull deal because everybody said it's obviously an alien skeleton or skull of it's the skull of an ancient alien or whatever. Okay, now people have said that it's some sort of bone disease that makes your skull grow longer, which makes no sense whatsoever. And then there's also tribal people from afar that actually band their heads in like wires or some type of like vine, and they artificially grow their skulls to a very long size. And it has been said that the question is why. And one of the guys on the show said that it's probably because it's a representation of the gods. They're mimicking them because they worship them or they respect them. So it's and these guys are basically these aliens that come from outside of our world. Like the you got your Anunnaki. They don't have the elongated skulls, but they have them on their Egyptian walls and everything, of these beings with wings. And I'm thinking that might be where the whole angel thing come from. Not saying I don't believe in angels. I believe in angels. Believe me, I've seen my guardian angel before. But there is a huge stick in government conspiracies and secrets that they keep from us. Okay, now scientists for some reason do not want to divulge any information about these elongated skulls or what they think they might be or what they already know they are. There's so many secrets being kept from us dealing with a lot of our old history. They all the way back to the Egyptians or something, probably even further than that. There's a lot of information with the Egyptians that have been kept from us for decades. Okay, and the question is, why would they keep our own history away from us if we live here? I mean, it's like there is something going on here that we don't know about, and our Earth has a secret history that the government for some reason doesn't want us to know about, which makes no sense. I mean, they're Earthlings too, or so they say. They could be alien human hybrids for all we know. They just want to keep those secrets from us until they know that we are ready to handle it. Because think about it. You got religious people, and then you have your set of people who believe in these things. And it could be because of what they have already experienced, like abductions or seen UFOs or even talked to some aliens. Okay, anything that goes beyond the realm of possibility, they don't want to believe in, or they'll think that it's like, just a fabricated truth or it's a fairy tale. So I can see why a lot of that happens, but at the same time, it's there and it's not going anywhere. These things are happening, but it doesn't happen to everybody, so that makes it easy for them to say oh, I don't believe in that stuff. And, you know, even if they see it, they'll probably try to debunk it, or they'll try to deny the fact that they actually saw it, or say they were just hallucinating or something like that, or with something in their food. You know, they try to come up with all these excuses just to make it look like they didn't see it, or they didn't believe it, or whatever the case may be. But also, and with the government, just like with these disappearances in national parks, there is something big happening here, people. There is something out there that we can't see or touch, but it can touch us. And one of my viewers hit me up with a comment today on one of my videos and was saying how he thinks that they hold on one second. He was basically saying something about how they know us better than we. Well, I said they know us better than we know ourselves. You know, they're always a step ahead of us and everything, which is very true. They know what we're thinking. It's almost like they're psychics, and like they know the future, so they know how to attack or to take. You know, so that way it can be done with 100% accuracy, and it seems to happen every single time, which is the crazy part. You know, how they're doing it, we don't know, and that's the biggest question of all. Give me 1 second here. I wanted to get to that part. Here we go. Okay, now let me get to the part where he said, endless void, we may walk into something that. Okay, he said, it knows what it knows what you're going to do before you do it. The future, let me see. It can see the future. I don't know if we will ever know. It's been doing this for hundreds of years, and it hasn't slipped up yet. And he's right. It hasn't slipped up yet because it is just that clever. This is a very clever entity or being or whatever you want to call it. You know, it even thinks like a human. So it knows how to get around the way we think. It knows how to cover up its tracks because he knows what we're going to be looking for. So what they do is they'll put evidence around their wrongdoing in a way that we can't comprehend or we can't fathom. You know, so you don't want to put nothing that's too predictable. You know, in that area, you know, where we can figure it out. The crazy part about it is we can figure it out. It's just a matter of believing what we're thinking, what we're thinking, or what we're saying. You know, some people say, "Oh, that's ridiculous." You know, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, trust me, none of this is going to make any sense. You know, but that's the whole point. Stuff that don't make sense usually means that it does make sense because that is reality. It's just that it's not the reality that we know of because the government keeps the real truth in hiding. Okay, they hold the keys to all of the secrets. You know, so it is just a big problem right now. There's something else too that my #1 fan, Kimstar66, she sent me some information about a guy who made a comment on one of David Paulides' YouTube channels, and what he said really hit home, and it was like, wow, that is a theory that I never would have thought of even thinking about. You know, it was just so out there and yet so remarkably true. There could be some truth to it. There may not be some truth to it, but you never know. Let me tell you what he said. Okay. He said, what if the missing who are never found alive or dead come back as Bigfoot? What if these intelligent primates with no clothes, no shoes, and no fossil records had no memories of their past of who they were or what happened to them? Imagine with every successful abduction of the missing, a Bigfoot is returned. As the population of the missing grows, so too does the population of Bigfoot. Sometimes the simplest answers are so up close and in our face we never see them. That is a very good point, and I applaud this man, whoever he is. She just sent me what he said. It didn't have his name on here, but it was just the fact that, oh wait, St. Quinn. I might have to look him up. But what he said was just way beyond what I probably would have said. Because there's a big shtick between what's really doing is this Bigfoot. But looking at it as that, because think about it. There has been talk about gene splicing that the aliens did, way back in the Prezozoic area or the caveman days, because knowing that Bigfoot was brought here by aliens, makes perfect sense in a way, because they did do some gene splicing with our DNA to make us who we are today as far as humans, not so much the color of our skin or how we actually look individually, but just the fact that we went from looking like apes to humans. Okay, and they say that what the theory is that Bigfoot is the missing link, because they have a lot of human characteristics about them. Yes, they are hairy, and yes, they live amongst the trees and in the wilderness. They eat animals, like deer and stuff like that. There's even talk about how they eat humans, like what happened to Dennis Martin when he disappeared. They said that he was being carried away on something on the shoulder of something that was very hairy and standing on his hind legs. Now, it could have been a wild man that lived off the grid, or it could have been a Bigfoot. We don't know. Or it could be one and the same. It's just the fact that we don't know that makes it so interesting to even find out about. Just because we don't know the truth doesn't mean that it's not real. That's the one thing I had to come to terms with a lot of stuff that I've experienced myself in life. People used to say there's no such thing as ghosts, but yet when you see one, you be like, wow, it's actually a ghost. So even though you didn't see a Bigfoot, don't mean it's not real. Like I said, I've come to terms with that, and the fact that I have seen things that look otherworldly, that puts a checkpoint, a check mark in the areas of things that I haven't seen before yet. So that makes me believe that there is a such thing as Bigfoot, or the Chupacabra, or Dogman, or the Jersey Devil. All these mythological creatures that we think are just fairy tales or a myth, they're actually real, if you ask me. And to know that the reason why these people disappear and are never found again is because they start over with a brand new life. But as what or where? They could be in another dimension somewhere, living their life, living a whole different life, because they have no way of getting back here. Okay, and that goes back to the theory about dimensional portals and wormholes. A dimensional portal is like a roulette wheel. Okay, you drop the ball and it's spinning, and you never knowing where the ball is going to turn up. So there is really no way of controlling the journey back. There's like an infinite number of slots that lead to all these different Earths. So if you go in one direction and try to get back, you're going to end up on another Earth somewhere there is nowhere identical to yours. They may be slightly identical, but if you end up in the world and you try to find yourself, you may be living on that Earth as the same person, but your life is different from your own life. So there's a lot of theories that get tossed around about all these things, and the fact that a person can come back as a Bigfoot, completely wiping out their mind of their old life and placing it with a new memory of whatever it is they be thinking about. I don't know, but that is a very excellent theory. I really, my eyes were like popped out of my head when I even thought about that. Wait a minute. Are you sure you want to delete the selected media? I didn't even select that. No. Okay. I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, but yeah, that is just some crazy stuff right there. With the elongated skull and everything. And they said that the suture marks that be on the skull, it doesn't have any. All human skulls have suture marks. Even animals have these little, where they got that little zigzag line that goes across and then goes this way. It has a suture mark on the back of its skull, but not at the very top. And it was like it was fused together, in all points. So that makes it even more mysterious, because it doesn't have any suture marks on its skull. So the idea of it being the skull of an alien or some sort of other type of being. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to get started with what I am going to talk about today. Today, I am going to talk about a young man named Minnie Rivers. But first, if you ever wanted to go hiking, in the unscathed beauty of Vermont's wilderness, you may want to take with you a GPS or some sort of teleportation device, just in case you venture off your trail and step into another dimension, because in this place, of Vermont, I'd say about this happened like for 5 years, beginning in 1945, actually. 6 people mysteriously vanished near Vermont's Long Trail, never to be seen again. So if you're gonna go there, you better watch out, because along the crooked spine of the Green Mountains. Hold on one second. My computer's acting up again. Along the crooked spine of the Green Mountains, it runs the famous Long Trail. Oh, jeez, the screen keeps acting up. It's giving me okay. I'm trying to keep this thing together, but the screen keeps acting up. Sorry about that, guys. But now there's an area called the Green Mountains. It runs the famous Long Trail, a wilderness trail that was officially constructed from 1910 up until 1930. The trail runs along the entire length of the state of Vermont and has become a popular hiker's destination since its opening. However, starting in 1945, there were a series of vanishings that occurred on or near the trail that have caused many to speculate a supernatural intervention. Now, starting off with the story is about, like I said earlier, a young man named Minnie Rivers. Yeah, he went missing in 1945, so he was the very first one. Now, on November 12th, 1945, during a routine hunting trip, Minnie Rivers, who was 75 years old. Most of the people that disappeared that I read about are young people. He was like 75. Okay, so he was 75 years old and an experienced woodsman and hunter. And 4 of his friends were out hunting deer in the area, like they've done plenty of times before. However, on this particular day, in the middle of a brisk November, Minnie Rivers never returned to their campsite. Now, he had gone ahead of the others, reportedly heading back to the camp. Now, after he failed to show up at the campsite, his friends began looking for him. Hours passed, and so did the days. Search parties were formed that included family, state police, soldiers, Boy Scouts, and local volunteers. Nothing. There were no signs of Minnie Rivers or his equipment found. It was as if the wilderness had swallowed him whole. Almost a year later, college student Paula Weldon would suffer the same fate. Now, I've already read about Paula Weldon, so I'm not going to get into her. But this is something that David Paulides has talked about all the time in every single interview he's ever gave on Coast to Coast AM. If you are in a group, never stray away from the group. Stay with the group. He ventures off for some reason, and he's supposedly going back to the campsite. So somewhere between point A and point B being the campsite, he somehow disappeared, in the middle of that walk. So the question is, what happened to him? Where did he go? How did he just disappear like that? That is the biggest question of all. But like I said, if you're going to be going somewhere with a group, you stay with the group at all times. And even if you are the one that's traveling with that group, let it be I won't say that. I don't want to say let it be somebody else that gets away from the group, but you don't want to be the one that actually disappears. You want to make sure everybody stays in a tight, in a tight circle, or in a tight group. So that way we watch each other's backs, and if they know anything about people who disappear in national parks, they'll know to stay together. So it's like they said before, make sure you carry a sat phone, a GPS, or a personal locator transponder. and a gun. You're gonna need that. Maybe yes, maybe no, because I've heard of a lot of cases where someone that had a gun, it was like taken apart or it was broken into 1,000 pieces. Now, in his case, when he disappeared, his gear was gone as well. And when they said that it's like the wilderness swallowed him up. Now, see, my thing is, it could also be nature spirits that's doing this too, because nature spirits take the form of anything, trees, the ground, and if you just happen to catch the image of a face in the ground, that might be them in disguise. I don't know, because I've seen it myself. Like, I could be looking down at the floor in my bathroom, and I saw the image of a face in one of the tiles. And although I know a lot of people have said that that's just your mind playing tricks on you, and it's just the way your mind works when you actually see shapes and figures in a certain design, like in marble design or something like that. But if it looks like a face, it's got to be a face to me. I mean, I actually watched a bug carcass actually come through the floor. It phased through the floor and just sat there. So to me, nobody can tell me that there's no such thing as these things that we talk about. You know, there's got to be something to it, or else it wouldn't be a story for you to tell, right? If there was no such thing, there wouldn't be a story to tell. So obviously it had to come from some truth from way back when. So in like I said, in his case, I would think that it might be nature spirits that's doing this, because they may feel like we're not being as forthcoming to nature as we make ourselves out to be, because we're talking about people that cut down trees to build cities and campsites and all kinds of crap. But the way I see it, they want things to stay just the way they are, because they don't think we respect nature, and they take it out on all humans, not just the ones that are actually doing what they're doing, like conveyors, or construction companies that cut down trees, like in the rainforest. They cut down trees for whatever reason, to make wooden furniture and all that stuff. So it's anybody's guess as to what actually happened to him and what has actually happened to all of these people. So it's just so freaking weird. It just boggles the mind. Now, the next story is about James Telford. He went missing in 1949. Now, another disappearance occurred in December of 1949. Unlike the others, this one reads like something straight out of the Twilight Zone. On December 1st, 1949, James Telford vanished near Bennington, Vermont. The ex-soldier was on his way home from St. Albans via the bus. He was in company of 14 other passengers that day. From the reports, the passengers all attested to seeing Mr. Telford asleep in his seat. When the bus reached its final destination, Telford had vanished. There were no signs of the ex-soldier anywhere inside the bus, even though his belongings were still on board. The only thing left besides his luggage was the bus schedule sheet that lay on his empty seat. No one has seen Telford since. Okay, now this, like they said, this is definitely straight out of the Twilight Zone, because everybody that was on that bus saw him sleeping in his seat on the bus. Then somewhere between point A and point B of the bus's final destination, and he was traveling to St. Albans, which is the final stop, I guess, or somewhere in between the final stop. He vanishes. So I'm thinking that maybe they went through some sort of wall of energy that led to another. This is a hard thing to put together, because if he was the only one that disappeared, obviously he was chosen to be taken, and everybody else, was left behind. What their reason was for taking him, I don't know. And I say their reason is because somebody had to been watching him in order for them to want to take him. Because if he was the only one that just disappeared, it's not like, with buses that you be traveling on, it's more than just one seat. There's at least 2 or 3 seats. So that means the person next to you is going to see you sitting there either near the window or towards the aisle of the bus. But yet he vanished without a trace, and nobody saw him disappear. So it's obviously whoever took him or whatever took him waited for the right moment for him to be taken. That's when the person next to him was asleep, and so was the people across the aisle was asleep. So with him being in that little tight little spot next to the person that he was sitting with, and the two people that were sitting across from them on the other side of the bus, it was easy for him to just disappear if they were all asleep. And he was probably taken sometime during the night when everybody was asleep. So they were very clever to do what they did. But it's almost like the bus driver drove through a certain area where it was almost like they drove through a dimensional vortex that was unseen by the naked eye, and he was taken somehow. How a person can be taken while a bus is in motion, I don't know. I don't really have all the answers to that as far as how he could have been taken, under the watchful eye of all these passengers on the bus, even though they were probably minding their own business or sleep. So that would have been the perfect time for him to be taken. There was no sound to indicate that he was taken by something or someone. He didn't scream, he didn't flinch, he didn't do nothing. He just popped out of existence. So whatever answer I could come up with, it would have to be the craziest answer of all. Like say, okay, let's just say you driving through an area and you pass through some sort of energy vortex, okay, or like some sort of wall of energy. No one could feel the energy but this person. They passed through an area that looked exactly like the area that it looked it looked identical to the area where they were supposed to be. It's almost like a carbon copy was created of the area that they were driving through, and by it looking so identical, they didn't realize that they went through some sort of dimensional vortex. And they saw him and they took him, right up under their noses, and he was never seen again. Like I said, that's just one tiny little theory how the bus driver drove through a vortex and didn't realize it, and somehow this wall of energy sucked him into its own dimension. I don't know. That's, like I said, that's just an educated guess, in the weirdest way possible. But anyway, on to the next story. I read about Frida Langer. Oh, here we go. One about Martha Jones. She went missing in 1950. Now, she vanished on November 6, 1950. The report did not go out initially because it is said that her parents believed she had run off with her boyfriend to Virginia. However, when the parents got in contact with the young man, he assured them that it wasn't the case. A massive search effort was made near the Glastonbury area within the next few days. However, like the rest of the disappeared, nothing turned up. 16-year-old Martha Jones had joined the others, apparently vanished into oblivion. Now, see, that's another thing. When all these people disappearing, are they disappearing into one place where they're all together as a bunch of people who were taken by some type of entity or being? I don't know. Are they all in the same place, or are they in different dimensions or on different planets somewhere serving a purpose not under their own choice? I don't know. They could be together, maybe. I say the same thing about Jerry Atadero. He disappeared mysteriously, and from the looks of it, he was eaten alive from the feet all the way up to the middle portion of his skull. So who knows? That's, like I said, that's anybody's guess at this point. Now, talk about serial killers, or serial killer or another dimension. That's the biggest question. Now, it could be a serial killer from another dimension that has the ability to take people, in a way that we can't comprehend. And knowing that he or she or it can do that, it makes it easy for them to do it because they know nobody's going to believe, a person who may figure out that is what it is. It could be some otherworldly or next level serial killer from another dimension that can kill people without touching them. How? The only reason that I could think of is some type of mind power where he can disrupt the human body from the inside out. in a way that doesn't leave any evidence. Or it could be the same situation with those. I think they were from Portugal, I believe. I keep forgetting where they're from, but it was those guys with the lead glasses or lead sunglasses, and they were saying something about taking a pill, which inadvertently probably killed them, where it made their organs look like they were aged or shriveled up, but the outside was completely untouched. I don't know what that could be. Things that we can't comprehend are reality in other places. Okay, just because we don't understand it doesn't mean that it isn't a reality. And people got to start realizing that reality, the reality that we know of, isn't the real deal. It isn't the real reality. The real reality is what's happening to all these people in a way that we can't understand. What the real reality is the fact that we have been visited by UFOs and aliens since the dawn of time. The real reality is the government, for some unknown reason, doesn't want us to know about this secret life that our earth has. Okay? And the fact that they don't want us to know, it just boggles my mind, because we live here. We should know everything there is to know about our own planet. These happenings are not put in history books. We would have to rewrite all of our history books about a lot of things, including the information about the Egyptians and some of everything else that we think we know about it. They even talked about that the skeletal remains of dinosaurs are not billions of years old. They're only thousands of years old, like 20,000 years. So what does that tell you? Obviously, that the government and the science community doesn't want you to know the real truth about certain things. They want to cover it up and add extra information to it so that it make us believe what they want us to believe. Why the government and NASA and the science community, why are they all working in conjunction with keeping the truth from us? I don't understand this. We already know there's a such thing as aliens. We already know that there's a such thing as ghosts. We know that there's a such thing as people disappearing under mysterious circumstances that include supernatural doings. Okay, there is something going on here that we can already figure out, but it's like people are waiting for the government to confirm it. We don't need them to do that. We already know something weird is going on, but we are too quick to believe that our children, our loved ones, our friends are being taken by some unknown assailant that is human. That is not the case, people. That is not why I'm here with this channel. I know for a fact that there's something weird going on here. We just have to open up our minds and open up our eyes and realize that there is something otherworldly going on here. I don't mean out of space. I mean right here. But another Earth that rotates on the same multidimensional space-time continuum, but there's a doorway that we can't see that they can get through. Okay? It can't be seen by the naked eye. But anyway, on to the next story. This one is about Francis Christman. He went missing also in 1950. Now, on December 3rd, 1950, Francis Christman disappeared from the face of the earth while on her way to visit a friend who lived half a mile from her. It had only been a few weeks since Miss Langer vanished on October 28th, and the townsfolk were already on edge when the news of Francis Christman's disappearance hit the newspaper. Many were already speculating that a serial killer was loose in the wilderness of Vermont. Okay, now that right there, it can't be a serial killer because there's too many things going on here that is very unexplainable. And just because we would rather believe that other than the obvious, that doesn't make it any better. So, but yeah, very, very strange stuff happening here, people. And I, for one, am here to make sure that you know about all the strange stuff. That is my job and that is my purpose. So you have no fear as to, you know, what my channel is all about, because that's, like I said, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that everybody here gets a full idea of what's really going on here. And I cannot access this thing. My computer is really acting up today. Okay, hold on. Get rid of this. There we go. That might have been what was going on. No, that's not working. So let me get out of this. That way I can go back to my screen here. Sorry about that, guys. I gotta reboot my computer. It's really acting up. You know, I was trying to scroll down, but the screen kept making the picture go right back up. So it was like working against me. But anyway, like I said, there's definitely a lot of strange things going on around here, and the fact that the government keeps all of this secret from us is a big problem. You know, why they don't want us to know about our own Earth's history, I'll never know. All they want you to know about is human history, which only includes what we already know about with the Egyptians and the fact that they built their own pyramids, which still doesn't make any sense because we're talking about huge, like, square block like boulders that were supposedly dragged from one end of the desert to the other so that they can build it. They had to have had help by aliens from outer space, like the Anunnaki, you know. So, and then, like I said, a lot of the evidence of aliens are on the hieroglyphic walls of the Egyptian tombs, you know, in the pyramids, you know. And it's self-explanatory right there, just about Akhenaten, who is the father of King Tutankhamun. Okay, everybody already knows that he had a very weird shaped head. It looked like a big old banana, you know, and he had a very weird looking lips and a real long, like, nose that probably stretched out, kind of like Pinocchio. Now, when he declared the only god that they were to worship was the sun god, I can't remember the name of the sun god, but his followers basically destroyed everything there is to know about him because they didn't want to follow his rule. So there is no evidence of him even existing, you know, as far as what they have on the hieroglyphic walls. They destroyed every wall that had his name on it or his picture, you know. And there is reason to believe that Akhenaten was actually an alien human hybrid, you know, because they said that he disappeared. I think they said he disappeared and went on a journey that no one else was able to go on. That's the theory. There's also a theory that he was actually dead or whatever the case may be, but I don't think they never found his body. You know, the same thing about Cleopatra. You know, nobody really knows what happened to her either. It's almost like she was banished or she just walked off the face of the earth because they have never found her body. So she could have been out there somewhere living her life, you know, as an ex-queen of Egypt. I don't know. But it's like I said, like I always say, it's anybody's guess. But yeah, that's very weird. Yeah, like I said, a lot of weird stuff. But that's my time today, folks. I gotta get ready for work. I gotta start cooking my food, even though I don't have to be to work until 6:30. But it's already 4 o'clock, so I gotta really get cracking. So I hope you enjoyed this rendition of my video talking about the weird stuff that's out there and these cases. Stay tuned for more. As always, I will return with more very soon. Sorry about the wait, because, you know, like I said, with my job, everything, you know, is kind of crazy right now, you know, so I try to get in as many videos as I possibly can. That's why I added some extra stories today so that you won't feel slighted, because I try to add maybe 1 or 2. So I gave you about, what, 4 maybe? I think about four stories. But anyway, that's the end of this video, and I will see you guys soon. So be safe out there, be blessed, be humble. Aloha, mahalo, and ahuiho. Peace out, guys.